Throughout history, several diseases have caused widespread devastation and shaped human history. Here we explore the top 9 deadliest diseases, detailing their origins, impact, symptoms, and death tolls. Number 1. Bubonic Plague. The bubonic plague, also known as the Black Death, first emerged in the Byzantine Empire around 541 AD during the Justinian Plague, but its most notorious outbreak began in 1347. This devastating disease primarily affected Europe, sweeping across the continent and reaching parts of Asia and North Africa. The Black Death is estimated to have killed between 75 and 200 million people, wiping out about 30–60% of Europe's population at the time. The plague manifests with symptoms such as swollen lymph nodes, buboes, fever, chills, headache, muscle aches, and fatigue. The death rate of untreated bubonic plague is around 50–60%, though modern antibiotics have significantly reduced mortality. The rapid spread was facilitated by trade routes and the movement of armies, leading to economic and social upheaval. Number 2. Spanish flu. The Spanish flu pandemic of 1918 to 1919 is one of the deadliest in history, believed to have originated in Kansas, USA. It spread rapidly worldwide, exacerbated by the movement of troops during World War I. This flu affected every continent, with a particularly high death toll in Europe, Asia, and the Americas. Approximately 50 million people died from the Spanish flu, with some estimates going as high as 100 million. Symptoms included high fever, aches, fatigue, and severe respiratory distress. The death rate varied but was significantly high, particularly due to secondary bacterial pneumonia and the lack of effective antiviral treatments at the time. The pandemic overwhelmed healthcare systems and had profound social and economic impacts, contributing to the end of World War I. Number 3. Smallpox. Smallpox has a long and deadly history, with evidence of the disease dating back to ancient Egypt around 3,000 years ago. It spread globally over the centuries, causing numerous epidemics. Smallpox was particularly devastating in the Americas after European colonization, as native populations had no immunity. The disease caused about 300–500 million deaths in the 20th century alone before it was eradicated in 1980 through a successful global vaccination campaign. Symptoms included high fever, fatigue, and a characteristic rash that turned into pus-filled sores. The death rate for smallpox was about 30%, with higher rates in infants. The eradication of smallpox stands as one of the greatest achievements in public health history. Number 4. Leprosy. Leprosy, also known as Hansen's disease, has afflicted humanity for thousands of years, with descriptions appearing in ancient texts from India, China, and Egypt. It is a chronic bacterial infection, primarily affecting the skin, nerves, respiratory tract, and eyes. While not as rapidly fatal as some other diseases on this list, leprosy can cause severe disability and disfigurement if left untreated. The disease has historically led to significant social stigma and isolation for those affected. Effective treatments, including multi-drug therapy, MDT, have been available since the mid-20th century, drastically reducing its prevalence and the number of deaths. Today, leprosy is largely controlled, though it still affects thousands annually, particularly in tropical and subtropical regions. Number 5. HIV/AIDS. Human immunodeficiency. Virus, HIV, emerged in the late 20th century, with the first cases recognized in the United States in 1981. The virus, which leads to acquired immunodeficiency syndrome, AIDS, has had a global impact, particularly in sub-Saharan Africa. Since its discovery, HIV/AIDS has caused approximately 32 million deaths worldwide. The disease attacks the immune system, making individuals vulnerable to opportunistic infections and cancers. Initial symptoms can be flu-like, but as the disease progresses, it severely weakens the immune system. The introduction of antiretroviral therapy, ART, has significantly improved life expectancy and quality of life for those infected, but there is still no cure. The epidemic has also had profound social and economic impacts, particularly in regions with high prevalence rates. Number 6. Rabies. Rabies is an ancient viral disease that affects the central nervous system, and is almost always fatal once symptoms appear. It has been known since antiquity, with references in Mesopotamian texts from around 2300 BC. The virus is transmitted through the bite of an infected animal, commonly dogs in developing countries. Rabies is present on every continent except Antarctica, with an estimated 59,000 deaths annually, primarily in Africa and Asia. Early symptoms include fever, headache, and general weakness, progressing to severe neurological symptoms like agitation, hallucinations, and hydrophobia. The death rate for symptomatic rabies is nearly 100%, but timely post-exposure prophylaxis, PEP, can prevent the onset of symptoms. The disease continues to be a major concern in areas with limited access to medical care and vaccination. Number 7. Ebola. The Ebola virus was first identified in 1976 near the Ebola River in what is now the Democratic Republic of the Congo. Since then, several outbreaks have occurred, primarily in sub-Saharan Africa. The largest and deadliest outbreak occurred from 2014 to 2016, affecting Guinea, Liberia, and Sierra Leone, and causing over 11,000 deaths. Ebola has a high mortality rate, often ranging from 25% to 90% depending on the outbreak. Symptoms start with fever, fatigue, muscle pain, and sore throat, progressing to vomiting, diarrhea, rash, and severe internal and external bleeding. Efforts to control outbreaks have improved, but the disease remains a significant public health threat in affected regions. The 2014-2016 outbreak highlighted the importance of global health preparedness and response. Number 8. Polio. Poliomyelitis, commonly known as polio, is a viral disease that can cause paralysis and death. It has been recognized since ancient times, with depictions of paralytic disease in Egyptian art. Polio primarily affected children and caused large outbreaks worldwide until the development of vaccines in the mid-20th century. The disease spread rapidly in unsanitary conditions, with peak outbreaks occurring in the early 20th century in the United States and Europe. Polio has caused an estimated 10 to 20 million cases of paralysis globally before widespread vaccination efforts. Symptoms range from mild, flu-like illness to severe muscle weakness and paralysis. The death rate for paralytic polio is about 5 to 10% due to respiratory muscle involvement. Global vaccination campaigns have brought the disease to the brink of eradication, though it still persists in a few countries. Number 9. COVID-19. COVID-19, caused by the novel coronavirus SARS-CoV-2, emerged in December 2019 in Wuhan, China, and rapidly spread globally, resulting in a pandemic. It has significantly impacted every aspect of life worldwide, with over 6 million confirmed deaths as of 2024. COVID-19 symptoms range from mild respiratory symptoms to severe pneumonia, acute respiratory distress syndrome, ARDS, and multi-organ failure. Older adults and those with underlying health conditions are at higher risk of severe disease and death. The overall death rate has varied widely, initially estimated at around 2 to 3%, but it has fluctuated with the emergence of new variants and vaccination efforts. The rapid development and distribution of vaccines have been critical in controlling the pandemic, though challenges remain with new variants and vaccine coverage. The pandemic has had profound social, economic, and political impacts, reshaping global health priorities. These were the 9 most deadly diseases of history. While this list focuses on these particular diseases, it is important to acknowledge other significant causes of death, such as stroke, tuberculosis, malaria, and cancer, which have also taken countless lives and deserve honorable mentions for their impact on global health. Continued efforts in disease prevention, treatment, and education remain critical in combating both historic and emerging health threats. If you like such interesting content, check the left video, and if you have still not subscribed, then click the right circle to do so. Lastly, don't forget to like and share this video.